Hello, welcome back to Reeling in the Piers, where we chat about and discuss all sorts of movies. My name is Gary O'Brien, and joining me today once again, it's Ono Boyle as we talk about the 1995 Jim Carrey comedy Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. So stick around, we hope you enjoy. My name is Stefano. I'm an Italian man. See, I still don't have it.
You're getting
People
there.
from last episode will know. I'm getting there, slowly but surely. People who listen to the A Series of Unfortunate Events podcast last week will know I desperately tried to work on my Stefano, and I completely forgot to do so until Owen mentioned it maybe 2 minutes ago and asked me how it's going. So I'm stressing out about it.
I was going to completely cover you there. I was going to be saying, like, he's been practicing every day, sending me, like, a recording of just, like, yeah, this is my Stefano impression out of 10. That one, an 8, which is his best one so far.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Owen, you're back again. Hello.
Hello, it's me, Eoin. I'm sober. No, that's way too obvious.
It's staying in. So, if anyone who's listened to the last two podcasts, thank you, because it's kind of there are strange collections of movies. These three movies: the Deadpool series of unfortunate events and Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. And for people who've been listening, thank you. Like I said again, thank you. But the reason why I'm doing these movies is because last year for my birthday month I did the Pierce Brosnan movies, the Brosnan O'Brien Birthday Bros Bonanza. This year I've picked another one of my favorite actors, Jim Carrey, but I felt it needed and deserved a long, complicated name. So this year I went with the unnecessary and involuntary, legendary, visionary Jim Carrey library commentary done by Gary and a very wary honorary adversary for my customary anniversary, i.e. my birthday. And if I'm honest, it's the only way I got these people on to do the podcast. So Owen, thank you so much.
No problem. If you didn't have a name like that, wouldn't have came. It's just like,
I know.
The dedication. It always brings me back. So.
Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, when I reached out to you, I think you were immediately like Ace Ventura 2. Like, not a doubt in your mind, you were like, this is the movie.
That is like my pinnacle Ace Ventura movie. Not Ace Ventura, sorry. My pinnacle Jim Carrey movie. Literally, you just said it, blanked on his name. Yeah, no,
this bodes well.
It is. Yeah, no, it's my pinnacle Jim Carrey movie is Ace Ventura 2: When Nature Calls. Like, I know Pet Detective's a good movie and I enjoy it. I just have much fonder memories from When Nature Calls.
And I'm exactly the same, because when I was watching this, I don't think it's as good as Pet Detective, but like you, I just remember quoting it so much when I was a kid and having so much fun, because I was watching it, I was like, this is just the Ace Ventura character on steroids. Like, take away all the nuance of his character from the first one, and he's just like, I'm just all legs and arms and just teeth.
A scene from this movie, like when you think of this movie, what is like the first scene you think of?
I think of the arrows in the leg. That's a big one for me.
That's a good one. For me, it's always him in the cave with his medallion and the torch.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Like that's my go-to memory of this movie. That and the one you spoiled from the last episode. Sorry to bring have two callbacks.
I'm so sorry.
Like, come on.
People are gonna. That's it. People are just gonna have to listen to the last episode to get all these little
references.
I should need to be. Yeah, I need to be making more of an MCU, and they need to all interconnect in a way.
What's your like third podcast from now, and we'll talk about it very quickly, very briefly right now.
I don't. So next week is, I think, with Mr. John Hackett, doing Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Oh my god, he picked a really good one. It's very serious. Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
Good job doing a comedy podcast.
Me and John know how to, dissect a serious movie. Yeah. We'll find out. Like, did you listen to our Ghost Rider one?
Man, I give that man notes for Ghost Rider 2. He better fucking use
them. And then I think after that is the May recap. And if the numbering is done correctly, I believe the next podcast is episode 69, and I'm yet to decide what's to be done.
A very important podcast, yeah.
It's very important. The most it's the most important one yet, probably. So yes, back to Ace Ventura 2. So I guess if anyone who hasn't seen it, it's basically Ace is hired to go to Africa effectively to discover what's happened to this tribe's ancient spoilers, by the way, for this movie that came out like fucking years ago, 27 years ago. And
27 years ago?
Yeah, Joe, it's handy because it's the same year I was born.
Yeah, 1995. That came out in 1995. Fuck.
Could you not tell, Owen, by the Could you not tell by the dated and aged depictions of
Stereotypes.
African tribes?
Yeah. That's very fair.
Yeah, and he has to go. Basically, he's hired by this guy to recover this ancient, or fucking what you call it, this ancient. So these two tribes don't go to war.
Ancient animal. Spoilers. That's
oh
not
yeah,
revealed
fine,
until about
ancient-
like a third
ancient-
in the movie.
Ancient animal. Yeah, there we go. I'll beep it. It's fine. Nobody
Yeah,
knows what I
that's
say, unless yeah. But like I kind of mentioned up top, it's just way wackier. It's just it's so silly from start to finish. Like it does not let up. I think it's like an hour and 40, but it's just non-stop.
You just tell as well, like Jim Carrey does not fucking care throughout this movie. It's just like if I could guess that he improv'd most of a movie, I think he improv'd most of this movie. Because there's just there's a lot of disconnect going on between like the movie happening around him and what Jim Carrey is specifically doing in a scene.
But Joe, I've so much, and like I didn't know this about this movie until like I started looking into it. There's so much behind the scenes drama with this movie. You wouldn't believe.
Oh God!
We'll get into it. We'll call it. We have to think of a juicy name for that later on. We'll call it like something. I'll think of it later. But it's so much behind the scenes drama, and I guess one of the things I'll do a little sneak peek now, where Jim Carrey did not want to do this movie. He was only contractually obliged by the studio to have to do it, and I love that he was just like, fine. I'm just gonna be super silly on. You wrote lines for me? That's nice. They'll look nice on a page. Shame they won't be in your shitty movie.
I just like what the other actors in this movie must have been like. What occurred to them because of Jim Carrey's contractual obligation. Like I just imagine that man who's standing on top of the pole, not supposed to get spitballs shot in his face. Jim Carrey secretly practiced that skill for months because he read that in the script. Yeah. Like the script was just a preparation of the gags he could pull off on set for this movie.
Yeah. Well, one of the things was, and this, like, again, maybe I'm giving away too many of the juicy behind-the-scenes details up front, but one of them was the guy who plays Calloway, I think his name is. Jeez, I can't remember the character's the posh guy. The posh guy.
He was one of the Raven, or the one who owns like the manor.
No, the other guy, the bad guy.
Oh, the bad guy, yeah.
He basically, what happened was Jim Carrey was sick for like, let's say 3 months for this movie or something ridiculous. So an extended period of time, I can't remember, but it extended the production so long. But because in the contract it was whatever way the bad guy's contract was signed. I'll look up his name in a sec. Was Jim Carrey's illness was technically an act of God, which meant the studio could force him to extend his contract to finish the movie. So what happened was he had something in London to shoot, and so what happened was they were like, oh, no problem at all. What we'll do is you'll shoot a day here. We'll fly you first class back to London, shoot what you need to do over there, and then we'll fly you back. But little did the actor know that by the end of the shoot, they charged him for all of the flights, and he effectively earned nothing for this movie.
Oh my God, that poor man.
So Jim Carrey's greatest prank of all,
just robbing this villain of his money. Yeah. This is what you get for trying to steal an endangered animal. Insert here.
And more about this movie. This is the most interesting stuff for me. And again, there's so much silliness. So let's just get this serious conversation. Jim Carrey's salary accounted for half of the budget of this movie.
They went to Africa for this.
I know they didn't. They just they went to like tropical places in America and shit.
Honestly,
like
still on planet, like that's fucking
magic.
Like, yeah, that's like
it's a high budget.
That's a budget, yeah.
Yeah. It's still a budget, like especially the animal shit in this, and I think that's one of the things that impresses me most about this was just like how many live animals they had do shit throughout the movie. Like obviously there's like parts where you can tell there's fake animals.
Yeah, honestly, I can't believe they had that actual rhino birth Jim Carrey. That's amazing.
Like, is there not a more iconic scene in cinema than naked Jim Carrey emerging from a rhinoceros's
while two young children watch that I really hope they weren't told how this scene was going to play out.
Jim Carrey with his continual gags on set.
Then those kids showed up and they're just like, we were told we'd see Jim Carrey, but how are we seeing this cool rhino?
Yeah, well, when does Jim Carrey come out? Oh, he'll be coming out way sooner than you expect.
You'll be seeing the raw Jim Carrey and all the fine details.
All curves and all. But,
yeah,
I think, Yeah, so many silly bits in this movie that I love. Like you mentioned, that scene in the cave, the scene, I love the scene where he's doing all the different tests in the other tribe. I think the opening scene of this movie, I don't know, like it's basically Jim Carrey climbing a mountain. And I think within this, it like packs in like a joke or a quip, I think every like 20 seconds.
About that, the dead raccoon is definitely probably one of the saddest cinema experiences I've seen with Jim Carrey. Like, that man sold that performance. That raccoon sold that performance.
Yeah, and it's like, so I didn't know until much later on, like, this was a spoof of a movie called Cliffhanger. I don't know if you knew this.
Oh, okay.
Where it's similar enough of like someone, I don't know, hanging off a cliff. I didn't look into it. Why are you asking me to look at the cliffhanger?
Honestly,
I'm looking into Jim Carrey.
The most unbelievable part of this entire scene is the harness, like, of this entire movie, is that harness breaking for that tiny fucking raccoon. I don't know why I was so, like, believing that when I was younger. But now watching, I was just like, why is the harness breaking? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. But it's like, it's this scene where Jim Carrey, like, there's been a plane crash and Jim Carrey has to like go up and he's like, no, I'm rescuing the raccoon. Nobody saved the raccoon. And he's got like a rappel gun, like one of the guns that like you shoot and there's like a rope at the end of it, like sticks into a rock, and he like, not zip lines, but he like zip lines across like a big fucking valley or whatever to save this raccoon. And just onto your point about the harness like breaking. You have to wonder the wear and tear of these things. He's a pet detective, Owen. You don't know how many times he's had to do this. You know what I mean? And
that's true.
He looks after animals all sizes. You know what I mean? It could have been a raccoon this week. It could have been a leopard last week.
A leper.
A leopard.
Yeah, just going out saving those lepers. Close enough.
I'm telling you, someone's got to do it.
Yeah.
Somebody stop him.
It's just like, that's what we never really heard his full moniker. It's like Ace Ventura, pet detective, and leper saver.
And leper savior. Yeah. Leper savior. But it's just, yeah, I think that scene, and then the scene in the monastery as well, or whatever you want to call it. Just like those two scenes just set up that this movie is going to be 10 times more silly and ridiculous than the last one.
Just the whole fact that, like, I did love that scene when he's like, I shouldn't leave, and I'm just like, no, you just got spiritual oneness right now. And the guy like throwing that at him. Here's my medallion.
He's like, but where's my medallion of oneness? Or whatever it is. Take mine. He's like, this took you 80 years to achieve.
Oh, yeah, it does have that Jim Carrey enunciation, just like on all his gags.
It's like everything in it. Do you know what else was fantastic in this movie? I'm going to jump around because we don't know how to talk about this movie.
Honestly, after watching this movie, I was just like, how the fuck do we talk about this movie? Like, you can't go like plot by plot with this. It's more like whatever bit I think of next is going to be the next jumping point.
One of the things I want to talk about actually in terms of how good this movie, like where this movie excels, not only in the Jim Carrey like comedy and like just the whole character of Ace Ventura. I don't think this is a good movie, by the way. I just think it's a really fun, silly movie, just so people can level set my views on this.
It's a bit dated, like a bit.
Yeah, well, a lot. Well, no, it isn't. It's hard to say.
It is. Like, I feel like the only dated bit is when he speaks through his butt. I think they pulled that off.
Sorry, I just meant the whole like African tribe thing.
That's
like, that'd be done different nowadays.
I'm thinking from like visual comedy wise.
Oh yeah, Owen's like, the butt stuff's a bit old though, isn't it? Yeah.
Doesn't get the same laughs it used to.
I think if you're talking out of an orifice these days, you need to think smarter than the boss. The score is so good in this movie. Do you know that like African theme that's throughout the shikakas?
Oh, the shikaka. I fucking love shikaka.
So good.
Yeah, no, it is great. It is really good.
So shikaka comes from the fact that
the ancient bat is called. Isn't it? Yeah.
But like what they just did was they looked up what shit was in Spanish. I think it's caca, and they were like, well, shit caca, shit caca. And that's what they just went from there.
Oh, I believed that for so long. Like it was like shikaka was the ancient bat. I feel like they could have actually researched that one and just like caught a cool sounding name. But
well, I know there is some stuff they did like get some literal translations where there is one where the kind of evil tribe.
Oh, is it White Devil? Please tell me White Devil was like a very literal translation.
No, it's worse. I think it means something. Oh, it meant something worse. Bear with. Cannot find it.
What is it even?
I can't find it, but it's an ethnic slur for a Westerner in Chinese.
Okay. In Chinese?
Yeah.
God, they're really all over
Chinese,
the place. Yeah.
Well, I don't know how well the research team of Ace Ventura and When Nature Calls, like what sort of level.
I suppose when half the budget goes to Jim Carrey, they have to skip somewhere. So like, look, we couldn't get an African interpreter, but we got this guy called Dave who spoke Chinese on a forum maybe 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
He's very
Dave has Chinese every second day. He goes down and he knows it. Very
He's actually my niece as well, so I can give him like the.
He's their niece.
I know. As soon as I said niece, I was just like, you know what? We're in 2022. I can get away with this.
What? Anyway, moving swiftly on. But also, yeah, I think the production's great. That's another thing I loved about
production
this movie.
is
like
great.
You said, like
I actually thought they went
like,
to Africa for this.
Yeah, and I would have thought the same as well. Only that I read because again, I was desperately trying to guess where all this money went to. When I heard half it went to Jim Carrey, I was just like, did they surely they know where they were able to like but there's like some great shots of like the I know the waterfall scene's a bit janky, but like the waterfall scene, the like the life-size rhino they built for Jim Carrey to emerge out of.
I think the only time I noticed like really bad CGI is like at that opening scene of the movie when he's climbing the rock face, and I'm just like, oh, that is just like a fake Jim Carrey face on another person who's actually climbing a mountain.
Yeah, but just actually another thing which I thought was quite interesting about this movie, just moving away from I guess production and stuff, is I actually, when you break it down, I'm actually quite interested in the character of Ace Ventura, pet detective. Like, it's an interesting concept. Like when you think about it.
That's what he had.
Do you know what I mean?
He had
like
a few moments in the movie where he really sells the whole animal lover, sort of like nearly like extremist.
Yeah, but I think what's most interesting because, and I know this sounds stupid, I'm reading like a book of like Sherlock Holmes stories at the moment.
We know that podcast lore is you do not read books. Don't go against that.
Sorry, that is a fantastic point. Thank you for keeping me on theme.
Yeah.
I was watching Sherlock, the TV show, and I always think it's really interesting the way Sherlock's able to like break down something the audience had no idea was like even. It's like, how did you even like think of that?
Yeah.
But Ace Ventura has that skill set because he shows it in the first scene with your man. I don't know his name. I'm gonna really have to look this up. Ace Ventura, when nature calls. This is on air Google.
And this is great, just like knowledge. It's actually amazing that just you've again, like Lily did. I think you just learned from Lily from the last episode where you went into your mind palace, like Sherlock Holmes.
Oh yes, I'm in the mind palace.
You're in the mind palace, like Sherlock Holmes. So it's all related. This was a pre-planned bit of how Gary went deep to find the name of the villain for this movie. I find this so
interesting. I've never had 2 podcast episodes like linked so well together.
It's because it's so fresh in my memory.
Yeah, you so Simon Callow plays Vincent Cadby. That's the bad guy. And so when Ace meets Vincent Cadby for the first time, he's able to deduce so much things about him, just based on like small little parts and on his shoes and stuff like that, which I think is really interesting. Only because I was watching the show Sherlock, I was able to make the comparison between the two. And it's so interesting. I just find it really interesting that the character of Sherlock Holmes is this like highly intellectual British man who is, you know, good at solving crimes. And then you have the loudmouth American version who's like, I want to solve animal crimes. I'm just like, what happened to the point of like that he diverged into like animal crimes?
Yeah, no, like I think that's what like Ace Ventura Pet Detective came from, was just like, what about Sherlock Holmes, but animals and American? Yeah. And then Jim Carrey ran with that with his whole like gasping breath before making all his deductions. Very reminiscent of actually how you introduced this whole podcast series you're doing for the month.
Yeah. Not everyone knows that podcast intro starts about 20 minutes beforehand. I only just cut in at the hello and welcome back because I actually say hello and then I do 20 minutes and then I say hello and welcome back because I assume Owen's fallen asleep.
Yeah,
it's one breath.
It's very accurate. a accurate representation of how I am today. You don't have to cut that part. Like, you can just keep that one. That one's for free.
But yeah, it got me thinking, and I don't have something planned in case you're kind of worrying that I'm going to launch into something. Like, what other weird subsections of like knowledge could you see someone with the powers of Sherlock Holmes use? So we've obviously got like crimes,
yes,
and you've got, this sounds like I'm setting up for something. I have nothing prepared.
Okay,
and
that's
then you've
great.
got pets,
crimes, pets. What else?
I'm
can
just
we get?
like,
okay, so we got like who's a good actor who could do this? Like, I don't know, like Johnny Depp and his.
Why? Why that one?
I'm not going to make the topical joke at the moment.
Topical joke being that he's oversaturated as Pirates of the Caribbean, Captain Jack Sparrow. We recorded this in 2012. Moving on.
Honestly, I really.
So here's another interesting thing, not interesting, but we can use it to like structure who we think should be the next Ace Ventura, not Pet Detective, something else. Was it just me, or did you get strong Ryan Reynolds vibes for this whole movie?
Oh, I do see that actually. Like, it's
only isn't it? It's so.
I think because like the such meta humor, and they're sort of just like staring at the camera, like I'm obviously not following the script sort of mentality of just like this could only be one character. I can see that as like a Ryan Reynolds. I think Ryan Reynolds could be the next one, the next like Pet Detective. Owen makes inverted commas with his fingers that is now emphasizing on his microphone level.
Sure. Well, see, they're both Canadian, so I feel like Ryan Reynolds like probably watched a lot of Jim Carrey when he was growing up, whether it was like In Living Color or some of his other like early stuff. But I think there was one line I wrote down where I was like, that is just effectively Ryan Reynolds, when Cadbury brings Ace into the room with all like the animal heads and shit like that, like all the like the hunting trophies.
Yeah.
And he goes like, "This is a lovely room of death. Take care then. Take care now. Bye bye then." We're like, "You take care. Bye bye then." It's just like,
as well as, like such a
Ryan Reynolds delivery. I know obviously it was Jim Carrey,
but also like the knocking out the Monopoly man and just like wearing him, and like the whole scene.
I love that scene.
Stretches on much longer than you remember it stretching on. I'm just like, oh my god, he really takes this man for a walk around the room.
Yeah, and I'm gonna do the noises, and people who haven't seen the movie won't know what I'm talking about. Where he goes, da-da, da-da, da-da. And then he does a little catwalk, looks at the camera, just like, mwah, and then like turns back.
Honestly, imagine just being the man who got that role of just like, so you've been hired from the Monopoly man who's gonna get knocked out by Jim Carrey, strutted around the room like a fur, and then placed back into the arms of a beautiful woman.
I feel like, Owen, you're confusing this with this what you could perceive to be a pre-planned bit with another classic Jim Carrey gag where he actually just knocked a man out on set. And everyone just stood around like, oh my god.
Those are live reactions from every actor in that room.
Yeah, but it's Jim Carrey, biggest actor in the world at that point. Yeah. What are you going to do? Tell him, go up to him and tell him,
no, you can't knock out the man.
Will Smith you in the face.
Yeah. You don't want to be his next scarf. No.
Yeah.
Oh, also, I thought
he's like, oh, you have a problem with me on set? And he walks them into the room, and they think it's the room with all the hunting trophies, but it's actually all the people he's knocked out and hung up as scarves.
She's like, you don't want to be my loafers.
Yeah.
As well, I did think of the next Jim Carrey, and I got a good one.
Oh yes,
I got one. It's Daniel Craig, chef detective. What is this, Gary? Am I doing the Knives Out bit where Daniel Craig is making a cookbook? Yes, I am. I'm referencing another podcast. That's it. I'm here to reference other podcast episodes, and that's alone.
I think that is single-handedly the greatest joke/reference on this podcast ever to exist. That's the greatest callback I've ever had to an episode. So thank you very much.
You set me up nicely for it, honestly. Like, it took me a while to get there, but I was just like, what can I do?
I didn't even have a plan. How did I not think of linking back to our Benoit Blanc cookery-based crimes?
Like, I have a notebook. I don't know if you know
Excellent.
this. Like, I have a notebook open of all our previous bits, and I'm always looking back to what we can call back to next. Like, I'm prepared.
Okay, right, okay. I need to get a quick spreadsheet open right now. Oh. All right, ladies and gentlemen, wait for Gary to put the lawnmower man into this later on. That's excellent. Yeah, no, you've sold me.
Yeah,
Knives Out becomes a Pet Detective hybrid franchise, and it's all about cookery-based crimes. I love it.
Yeah, no, that's it. Like, it is. He's always trying to find out the next hole in the donut throughout. That's it. Like, it's always a donut. The next slice of the pizza pie. They go to Italy for that one.
Oh,
it's wild.
Righty then.
God, hold righty then.
There we go.
Yep.
So another thing I wanted to talk about, speaking about great actors, another actor in this movie, I do not have his name open, but I will find it in the time in which I proceed to keep talking.
You're going to your
until
Mind
I find
Palace.
it. Yes. Mind Palace. I need a little sound effect for that.
You do. You
Okay.
need to find one.
Gary's putting in a sound effect right now, of like Mind Palace sound effect.
It's all righty then. It's his like.
It's all. Oh yeah, it's the chant.
All righty then.
Oh, I'll tell you, you need to have 4 pints before a podcast more often. This is comedy gold right here, buddy.
Can't wait to listen back on this and just like hear all my slurring.
Alrighty then. Right. So it's an actor called Adewale Akinioye.
Yeah.
Which I've probably butchered the naming of, and I do apologize. He is the person who works in like for Cadby's. He's like his security guard.
Yeah.
He's the one who gets crushed by the elephant at the end. And I don't know if you recognize him, but he's been in like 3 what I consider very like big movies, like not good movies, but like big movies. He was Killer Croc in the Suicide Squad.
Oh, I don't know why I didn't see the comparison. Honestly, yeah, now that you say it, right there.
He's also in Thor 2. He's Fury. Do you remember the guy who goes on a rampage in Asgard?
Yes, I do remember that one, yeah.
He's him, and he's also in The Mummy as well. He is the guy in The Mummy, and I cannot think of another scene this man is in other than the little boy. It's The Mummy Returns. The little boy, little Brendan Fraser is taking a piss on a train, and he's
he's
hey,
the security guard.
Boy.
He's like the
yes!
I know it.
The only way I can describe it.
It is him, and you would recognize him. Like I was just like, oh, I know this guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the Mummy, definitely the one I'm recognizing from the most. The Mummy's a great one.
Yeah.
If only there was another podcast you talked about the...
I was like...
If only there was another podcast you referenced the Mummy and that you were going to do as a Halloween episode.
Fuck off. Did you listen to all the podcasts yesterday?
I know my Reeling in the Piers lore.
Thank you very much.
This is just as a trick episode. This is actually the Reeling in the Piers episode of Reeling in the Piers.
Oh no! Oh, well, I've always said it should be called Reeling in the Piers. Just be like, it needs to have
how about
just
the Piers do Reeling in the Reeling of the Piers?
Oh, and you've given me an excuse to have a very long name for something that doesn't need it. So
I know you do like
that.
those.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's no problem. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Right, should we get this? Speaking of connecting to other podcasts, should I get this whole thing I spoiled for in last week's episode out of the way with?
Oh yes, go ahead. Let's get some of these Jim Carrey hated filming this movie references in.
Yeah. So the thing I spoiled last week was that Jim Carrey obviously loves doing a lot of improv in this movie, and one of the scenes he improv'd was in the classic scene where he's driving in the car, he's taking a shortcut, and he just starts singing Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which I'm pretty sure if you asked me what movie that's in, I would say Ace Ventura 2 before Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I'm like, what song is this? Oh, it's Ace Ventura 2.
Oh, obviously
this is what I just
sings,
imagine. And anyone who's been in a car with me on a bumpy road, I do apologize because I sing this every time I'm on a bumpy road, which is any road outside of Dublin. This is the song I sing. I was expecting you to get more offended by that, but all right, moving on.
No, you're a Dublin driver. You like your safe spaces and small roads.
I like my smooth tarmacky roads.
You like your roads that you turn down and suddenly it's one way and you have to figure it out from there.
No, like what they teach us in Dublin driving schools, we just abandon the car and just never go back. You
belong to Ballymun now. You walk away.
But yeah, anyway, in this scene, Jim Carrey forgot his line, so we just started singing Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which I just think is phenomenal.
Honestly, I'm really impressed that he just remembered the lyrics that well to Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and that he could sing them so intensely for one shot that I'm probably it took. Like, I can't imagine I can't imagine him not forget. Like, I can't imagine him forgetting the lines in that shot, going, sorry, we need to redo that shot. I need to go back, get the words again. I need to... What do you think? Sorry, guys, I forgot that script. I'm going to have to go to my trailer, read the script for a while, and he just comes back with a better prepared version of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
He just starts singing a different song, which I don't know any other songs. This one about the sweet songs, the whistles, the sweets that are whistles. Don't look at me like that's not a real thing.
You're absolutely losing me with this one.
Right, okay, Gary from the future, if you wouldn't mind just putting in a bit of that song just to show on what it is.
Oh, that song. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Wait, no, Owen, I haven't played it yet. What are you talking about? Here it is now.
Sweets, toot, sweets, the candies you whistle, the whistles you eat. Toot, sweets, toot, sweets, the eatable, tweetable treats.
So yeah, let's okay, more behind the scenes drama. We need to call it Gary's Juicy Goss Corner.
I hate it. Keep it.
What the director of this basically got fired. He started filming, he got fired, and Jim Carrey brought in his mate. And funny enough, it was his mate who was the one who approved that Jim Carrey would
Jim
get
Carrey check.
Yeah, it's so stupid. But one of the directors who
he really worked with his paycheck. Trust me, guys. Trust me, studio executives. Jim Carrey made this movie. He deserves half the money we put into this.
But one of the directors who was actually wanted to do it was a director called Spike Jonze. I don't know if you are aware of his work.
I've heard of Spike Jonze.
No.
Am I thinking of Spike
Jonze? Yeah. Well, Spike Jonze is the guy who did Her, Being John Malkovich, Adaption, all that sort of stuff. He's done a ridiculous amount of music videos, judging by his IMDb. But anyway, he's a really cool director. If you haven't seen Adaption or Being John Malkovich or Her, fantastic movies. But Jim Carrey turned him down and quotes it as one of the biggest regrets of his career was not letting Spike Jonze do Ace Ventura 2.
Biggest regrets of his career.
If you've seen Adaption, yeah. According to the IMDb trivia section, the Mind Palace, the IMDb trivia section within the Mind Palace.
There we go. Yeah,
that's what's right, and which everyone knows where the truth is. What else? This is really funny. So the guy who played Cadby was like, according to Simon Callow, Jim Carrey didn't really want to make this movie, which made on-set experiences awkward. I'm like, no shit.
I just imagine it's the same as, remember you were doing the podcast on what's the mountain again? Hills Are Alive with the Sound of Music. What's that movie?
Sound of Music?
Thank God, I got there. Technically. I'm counting that as a win for Owen. But, the Sound of Music, was it the guy, dead guy who hated filming that?
Oh, Christopher Plummer.
That's it. Christopher Plummer is a bummer. Famous quote from one of the earlier podcasts. I got another one! You didn't know I was going there, but I got another one.
So impressed. I'm tearing up here.
Your biggest fan this whole time has been me.
Oh, I love it. It's fantastic. You're all those downloads the whole time. What else we got here? Jim Carrey improvised the part when Ace Ventura sneezes in front of the Wachabi tribe. Yes.
That was a great scene.
I was right about the Wachuchu tribe.
I just love when he fucking the cut to everyone leaving the tent just covered in fucking phlegm. It's
oh no, not that scene where everyone's spitting on each other. Not that one. It's where he's walking through the village for the first time. They're like, they have not seen the disease of the white man, and Jim Carrey goes,
he sneezes. Okay, yeah. Weird that there's two sneezing related gags in that movie, or phlegm related. I think for me, I always think of my biggest quote from this movie is, every time I park, I say, like a glove. That's like my go-to parking thing that I don't think many people realize is just from me saying, like a glove, and getting into a parking spot.
And you do that every time. even before you'd park into a spot that doesn't have any lines or any cars around it, and it could just be an open field, and you'll still walk like a glove.
If my engine turns off, you better believe I'm saying like a glove.
But what I was gonna say, more things I like about this movie is the mystery is actually pretty good. The mystery of the story, like, it kind of holds up.
Yeah.
There's no like Ace Ventura has been hired by Cadby to investigate where this bat goes, and he has to, like, you know, go to the two different tribes, the Wachutu tribe and the other tribe that Gary still hasn't checked his mind palace for yet, and he has to, like, discover where it went, and then there's this whole other, like, subplot then of, like, Ace Ventura getting very, very flirtatious with one of the women of the tribe.
Actually, yeah.
Actually, no, I take that back. She's very flirtatious with Jim Carrey.
Yeah. Honestly, this movie has, like, really, like, it has really explicit innuendos where, more so than I've ever seen in any, like, basically children's movie, like, where the guy walks in and I'm, like, masturbating, and he, like, pulls up his trousers with the leaf under him. Just like, this is way more obvious than I remember it being. Like, it was just like, this movie was just... This is basically an adult movie, like, just veiled underneath that fucking, like, R rating, like, not R rating, but, like, PG rating.
He's just like, I need to finish my meditation or I'll get cranky. But do you mean that in the sense that there's a scene at the end of this movie that's played as a joke as a man gets sexually assaulted by a gorilla?
There is that scene. Like, also very explicit. They've been referencing this horny gorilla throughout the entire movie. And then you think, oh, the villain got away. But no, the villain didn't get away. This villain gets, like, a worse karma.
The villain got off.
That was good. Yeah, no, the villain got off. Yeah. Like, yeah, no, this villain got done dirty more than any other villain that I've seen in recent cinema history. Like, Thanos got snapped. The man who wiped out half the existence got snapped. This man...
He didn't get snapped. He got his head chopped off. Oh, he did get snapped. Sorry.
No, he got snapped, yeah.
Sorry,
like,
I was recently looking at a thing.
This man, in whatever comedy movie released in 1995, got sexually assaulted by a gorilla.
Yeah.
And, like, that's not left to the imagination.
But it's like, you have to remember, it's funny, because what happens is, he gets dragged into the bush, it starts shaking, and in the jungle,
it's a mighty jungle
starts playing.
You know, if the comedy comes from the
hilarious.
music, can you imagine if, like, they just left the music out and all you hear was, like, screams of anguish?
No, I don't think that would be funnier. I didn't want to imagine.
I want to see that cut of the movie.
Release the Snyder cut. What if it's just they cut the music and it's just the gorilla saying, "Me want snoo snoo."
Death by snoo snoo.
Death by snoo snoo. Just another little fun, practical Jim Carrey gag on set.
You know, like, half of his money was, like, renting this live gorilla. Everyone thought it was a man in the suit for the entire filming of the movie. Poor Calloway.
This poor lad who got paid nothing for this movie.
The greatest joke of all. Yeah, no, like, this movie was, like, dark in places. Like, I know we started with the raccoon dying, but we end with monkey sexual exploitation.
Yeah.
No, so many great points. Where do we go from that? I don't know.
Where do we go from here?
Let's talk about the white bat. Have we mentioned the white bat yet? Just Shikaka?
No, not Shikaka. So the animal he ends up having to save is a bat, and it's revealed that Jim Carrey's or Ace Ventura's biggest fears is actually bats, which is actually something Jim Carrey was very adamant against from a, like, plot or script point of view, because he thought it was weird that Jim Carrey would actually hate an animal. So what he was trying to push the script towards was actually he's, like, allergic to bats.
Okay.
But I will say, I think I enjoy Jim Carrey hating, like, because this guy loves animals so much, and it's obviously set up so much in the first movie and the second movie. It is so funny to see him just just absolutely so determinedly hate like an animal much as he does.
It is
bats.
very funny. Like, again, bringing back to the scene in the cave when he's going in to investigate, and it's just like, as long as I have my medallion, I will be safe. And like just a single bat. And it's just so good. It's like, as long as I have my torch, I will be protected. It's just another one. Oh, it's such a good bit. I just love it. And then he just like runs out of the cave. Like, there's so many good like visual gags in the bit, like in the movie when he gets like fucking the sleeping darts. He's just running with the limbs.
3 darts is too much.
And it's immediately followed by like 3 more darts. It's like there's some fucking like there's really good visual comedy in this movie.
No, it's so good. And like, yeah, like as much as you want to credit it to Jim Carrey, like obviously like the script wrote these things in, but like how Jim Carrey is able to like deliver them is like just so top notch.
Yeah, like between like his physical acting, between when he's getting hit by the darts and running through the woods to when he's like hit by the 2 spears during the whole fight.
Oh, that's what I love so much. I love that. That's my favorite scene.
That's a great one.
Another one my brother and I used to always quote was, do you remember he's waking up after the darts and like he's getting like water applied to his head and he's like, Mr. Beauregard, I do declare.
I quote that one all the time. I always say, I do declare, and it's just like straight from Ace Ventura, and everyone's just thinking, what movies is Eoin watching?
And now we have a podcast to like explain your whole life.
I know,
this is why he says the weird things he does.
Yes, this is why.
Some of the weird things he does.
Yeah, we need a few more podcasts to air through that dirty laundry.
But and then and like the whole subplot then is realizing that or not, the whole motive of Cadby is that he stole the white bats, so the 2 tries to kill each other so he can move in and basically take hold of these bat caves and could take all this guano, which is used for like fertilizer and stuff. And I think Jim Carrey always having to deal with guano in this movie is also quite excellent, because like there's the bit where he's being fed something and he's like, this is delicious, what is it? He's like, guano, what is this? And he goes like, it's bat droppings, and then immediately like is grossed out by it. But there's later on when he, like I said, when he's waking up after the darts and someone's feeding him water and he realizes it's a guano bowl. He's like, he spits it out, he's like, guano bowls, collect the set.
I feel like that's one of his improv things. I feel like he just has like really good witty comedy for just like making those like jokes on scene.
And there's also the scene where he's interrogating the guy with the raven, and he's like he takes out a knife and you think Jim Carrey's gonna like cut him, but he like just starts scratching it against the plate
and he like starts touching his eyeball. It's like the greatest thread of all.
Fucked.
Again, I love that we got like at least 50 minutes into the podcast before we actually started talking about the movie.
Owen. What's the point of what? Come on, you know.
I don't know. Honestly, it feels a bit weird to me talking about this movie when I could be talking about other movies that we've done podcasts on. Like,
don't. We've come so far.
I know.
But yeah, and like I guess another thing I kind of wanted to talk about was there is a sequel to this, or it's a prequel, which is like, I actually don't know if it's a sequel or a prequel. It's an Ace Ventura Jr. Pet Detective, and it stars some kid from Disney. I couldn't tell you his fucking name. And I refuse to watch it because it doesn't have Jim Carrey.
Yeah, honestly, like I would refuse to go to the Mind Palace about this. Like I would like feel that Mind Palace coming along and going, no Mind Palace. Mm-hmm. Information I don't want up there.
Not today.
Yeah.
But
like a
Jim
glove.
Carrey was asked like sure. And Jim Carrey was asked on the red carpet for one of the press tours for
they had a red
Hedgehog
carpet
2.
For this movie? Oh, sorry, Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Actually, fun fact about the red carpet for this movie was I was trying to look up Jim Carrey and Clint Eastwood pictures, and the only picture I could find of them together is on the red carpet for this movie, which you have to remember, in this known universe, Clint Eastwood attended the premiere of Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls.
I want to see, why were you looking up pictures of Ace Ventura and Clint Eastwood?
Because I was trying to. It was because Keane did the Deadpool, which has Jim Carrey and Clint Eastwood in it.
Sorry.
And then me and Keane came to a very quick conclusion that I am Jim Carrey and he's Clint Eastwood.
Is that 4? Have I got 4 or 5 other podcast episode references so far?
Far too many, but I'm enjoying it. It's boosting my ego tremendously, is all I'll say. But it's yeah, I just like the idea of Clint Eastwood sitting in a theater in Los Angeles and Jim Carrey's like flapping about on stage, coming out of a rhino's ass, and he's just like, I don't like this. Well, nobody's dying.
He wanted, like, he was really vying for those kids to have guns and that rhino to be hunted.
Yeah, he's like, give that gorilla a gun and just the movie's over.
It's like, why doesn't the gorilla just shoot the bad guy? Why does he have to exploit him sexually?
Yeah, wouldn't you love a universe where Jim Carrey was able to convince Clint Eastwood to play the gorilla at the end to sexually assault Cadby, and what happens is the line is like, there's only one question you gotta be asking yourself, punk. Do I feel lucky? Well, do ya?
That'd be great.
Anyway, so Jim Carrey was doing press for Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and they asked him if he would do Ace Ventura 3, and he said yes, but only if Christopher Nolan directed it.
Oh my god, I want to hear that Hans Zimmer soundtrack for Ace Ventura 3.
Do you want me to do my Hans Zimmer? Is that what you're?
No,
is that what you're setting me up for?
I am not forcing another reference. How dare you assume such a thing about me?
Right, is that Ace Ventura 2 When Nature Calls? Or
I
Ace
think
Ventura
so.
When Nature Calls, is it?
Ace Ventura 2 When Nature Calls, like a movie.
Yeah, like look, if
a movie for people of all ages. Some of those people may be young. Some of those people may have psychic powers. Watch the Matilda episode of your podcast. I wanted to get one more in there. Like, that's the best I could do. Matilda. I remember that one. That was a good one.
I'm not letting you end on a reference of my goddamn podcast. Let me having a go at this. Okay. Well, I feel like this has been a pretty good February 2022 release recap.
I like it. You hit the ones we wouldn't expect.
Yeah, exactly. You expected me to ghostwriter and I recapped it. Right.
Yeah, this whole podcast and this whole month is really like some whole multiverse of madness of podcasts.
Haven't even recorded that one yet.
I assume it's coming. Like, I have to reference one in the future at some point.
Oh, like the way you're just dragging people left and right. It just feels like such a labyrinth of references for people to understand.
We haven't really grasped the baby of this movie.
I think I tell you what. I think if people are gonna really want to find a quiet place to go after listening to this podcast.
You're not.
Oh, mamma mia. Anyway, let's finish this.
You're right, Howard the Duck. We should end this really quickly.
Owen.
Okay, Bahubali, we should get on with this.
Hold on, you're not ending on one. Fuck you. Hold on, let me find one. The way you have such drive to be able to give all these references, fair play.
Oh god, yours are way better than mine. I'm just lazy.
You truly are a national treasure. And if anyone asks, there's no one better than you at being Wonder Woman 1984. Okay, that has to be it.
It has to end.
Okay, it has to end now, because truly, that's it. No, it has to be it. Right, okay. Owen, thank you so much for listening. Not you. Oh, thank you so much for listening to the podcast, but also thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and for anyone who's listened to this or any of the other ones. Two things I'd ask for you. One, get on the Letterboxd. Myself and David talk about it enough on the Release Rock recaps. It's where we put up all of our reviews. Also, we'll be picking out the best reviews in the month to be able to call out on our monthly movie awards. So make sure you get on that and follow us. And then also the Instagram at Reading in the Peers. We put up all of our reviews there and just when new episodes are coming out. And also we ask your opinion on things. So if you do that, if you're listening on the Spotify app, we have 2 things to ask you. 1, give us a 5-star review because I want it for no other reason than that. And 2, there's a poll. I haven't decided the poll. And I meant to ask Eoin what the poll should be, and I completely forgot.
Alright, I think the poll should be how people feel watching this podcast, because I feel pride
Watching it.
and prejudice and zombies while watching this podcast.
Right, that's the poll. Pride, prejudice, and zombies.
Oh,
Pick a
zombies.
selection there. Owen, anything else to add before we wrap up?
Oh no, I've already done my closing bit. You can move on now.
So you've already done the prestige, is that it?